Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful day on the Appalachian Trail. I am coming off of the most wonderful rest. I got to spend 3 terrific days with my wife Twinkle in Damascus. It was a good opportunity to spend time together while she is on spring break. She's a school nurse, and so her school is on spring break, and this was a scheduled event for us. We knew that we were going to be taking this time from the outset, and it was an amazing time. I actually spent a very good portion of those 3 days resting my body, taking care of my feet in particular, allowing them to recover from the previous month's stress that had been placed on them, and my body feels really good. We got to take in some of the local dining and things like that from within the city of Damascus, and we actually even went on a little day hike yesterday so that she could see the Grayson Highlands. I did not hike any of the AT portions of the Grayson Highlands, and I look forward to going through that area in the next couple days. I also got a little bit of a hair trim and a beard trim. Found a local barber in Damascus who did a terrific job. So it was a little bit sad saying goodbye to Twinkle this morning, as it always is, but it's with a little bit of, I'll say, anticipation and gladness to get back on the trail. She and I both recognize that this is a large goal, and in order to achieve this, it's going to be important that I do keep my eyes on the end objective, and that is reaching Katahdin in Maine. And so all good things must come to an end. And so with the end of our 3-day zero in Damascus, some good rest of my body, some good meals to refuel, I'm setting back out today. Today's a 15.7 mile day to Lost Mountain Shelter. Should be a relatively easy day in terms of terrain. There is rain scheduled for this afternoon, and so I started this morning before the sun even came up so that I could get in some miles, and my goal is to make it to the Lost Mountain Shelter before 2 p.m. when the rain is anticipated to begin. Today should be one of those walk in the woods kind of days. There's no anticipated landmarks that I'm expected to pass today, and so today will be a day of capturing whatever it is that I might find on the AT, like that nice little sunrise right there. So I'm looking forward to today's walk. Let's go ahead and get started, and we'll see what we can find. That's a good water source. So I don't know if you can see it very clearly through the trees, but this portion of the AT, I'm about 5.5 miles into the day, but for a very good portion, the trail runs parallel to the Locust Bridge Branch Creek, and there is a path below the AT, which I believe is the Virginia Creeper Trail. So the AT parallels both the Virginia Creeper Trail and the Locust Bridge Branch Creek. It's really kind of pretty to follow the creek through this portion. Making good progress. Lost Mountain Shelter 6 miles away. Saunders Shelter is a 1/4 mile that way. So, thought I'd do a quick check-in. I am just over 9 miles into the day. And as I suspected, the day is going very well. I would like to say that I'm impressed with how the trails are laid out so far in Virginia because of the number of switchbacks. I do like switchbacks. So, very easy walk today. Got about a little less than 6 miles left in my day. And so since there is not a lot to see today, I thought while I was walking I might answer a comment that I received from a subscriber that I thought might be of interest to others. So I did answer the comment, but I thought I would go ahead and record my response as well, just because it might be of interest to others. And so the question I received was that it was noticed in a couple of my videos, especially on the bulbs, where I was going over that you could see campfire rings and things of that nature, or camping spots. And so the question was, is that legal? And so I thought I'd go ahead and answer that question. So when we think about campfires, we have to think about whether or not it is a camping site or camping spot or not. So campfires are closely associated with camping, obviously, but they definitely leave a scar on the landscape. They leave a trace. And so while camping is approved on the Appalachian Trail in certain designated areas, it is recommended that you camp where there are designated or known camping sites, and that you only burn campfires in established fire rings. So first, let's talk about where you can camp. So along the Appalachian Trail, obviously there are shelters that you can camp at, and many of these shelters have tent sites associated with them. And elsewhere on the Appalachian Trail, there are camping sites that are in some cases designated, which means they're supported by some type of organization or a park or whomever, or there are known camping sites that backpackers have already used and established. In these cases, it is recommended that you use these designated or known campsites. Now, there are areas where you can stealth camp. So stealth camping is when you camp anywhere that is not already designated or known. You're camping in a site that essentially no one knows about. So the question is, where can you stealth camp? And that answer really is, it depends. It depends on where you are on the Appalachian Trail. So particularly in the South, in Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia, you can camp or stealth camp in any U.S. Forestry Service property, with certain exceptions. So, for example, the Smoky Mountains. The Smoky Mountains, you can only camp at a shelter, and the only way you can set up a tent near a shelter is during the current COVID conditions. Otherwise, you must sleep in the shelter, and I kind of covered all of that in my Smoky Mountains video, but those similar rules apply to other parks such as the Shenandoahs. There are certain states where even if you set up a tent, you can only set up tents on designated tent pads and things of that nature. So in general, you can camp on a designated spot or at a designated spot, or a known spot in certain places where there aren't restrictions against camping. And you can stealth camp really anywhere along the AT, as long as there aren't any other existing restrictions that exist, either because of the existence of a national park, a state park, state rules and guidelines, and things of that nature. So U.S. Forest Service lands, being public lands, are open for stealth camping. And again, the major areas for these are Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia. So in all cases, you want to know the regulations in the state where you are, the national park where you might be walking through, the state park where you might be walking through, to know what is right and appropriate. So back to the discussion of campfires. When you are building campfires, you should always use a designated or already established fire ring. The reason why you do not want to build a new fire ring, especially at a stealth site, is because of leave no trace principles. If you are building a fire ring at a stealth site, whether or not it is on a bald, whether or not it is in the woods or anywhere else, you are leaving a trace. Even if you assembled the rocks and dismantled the rocks, you're leaving a scar, a burnt scar on the earth from where a campfire was. That is leaving a trace. And so you should not use campfires in stealth sites. When in any area where you are, you always want to try to apply the leave no trace principles to the best of your ability, so that you are maintaining the wildlife nature and aspect of the Appalachian Trail. You are minimizing your imprint on the environment. You are respecting others, and you are leaving it better for the next person behind you. And so when the subscriber that commented asked the question about the fire rings or the fire pits on top of the balds, that could either be a designated camping spot, or hopefully not a stealth site where somebody wrongfully lit a fire and left a trace. I hope this answers the question as to where can you camp? Is it legal to camp? Can you light a fire? And things of that nature. If I forgot to mention anything, it's not intentional. This is all off of the top of my head as I'm walking through the trail. And so anyway, I think it's a topic that is relevant to anyone that has an interest in backpacking. And so hopefully this was helpful to you. Looks like for a brief bit, the AT and the Creeper Trail combine. Pretty creek. I can tell you the first 15 miles of Virginia have been the exact opposite of the last 15 miles of Tennessee. Tennessee had next to no usable water sources. There have been just an abundance of good water sources so far, starting out in Virginia. This creek that runs alongside of the AT and the Creeper Trail is Laurel Creek. Same creek that runs through the town of Damascus. So far we've been going for about 0.3 miles, and we're still kind of running on a combined Creeper Trail, Appalachian Trail path. You can see the white blazes. Down below looks to be a footpath for fishing. So it looks like after a distance of about a half a mile, the trails split. And the AT heads back into the woods. All right, everybody, we made it to Lost Mountain Shelter. Today was a really good day, 15.7 miles. Very gentle terrain. I'm impressed with the maintenance of the trail and the switchbacks in Virginia. The trail was, I would describe as very gentle, even in the increases in elevation. Definite difference from Tennessee in terms of the water sources. The last 30 miles in Tennessee, there was always a drought, if you will, of water sources. The water sources today, the first 15 miles into Virginia, were plentiful. And that even includes those water sources that might be otherwise listed as unreliable. I am looking forward to tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a 17.5 mile day to Wise Shelter. Tomorrow we're going to cross Mount Rogers, which is the highest elevation in the state of Virginia. And we're actually also going to enter the Grayson Highlands, home of the feral Grayson wild ponies. So looking forward to that. Should be some good views. We are going to have some rain tonight, but I hear it's supposed to clear up tomorrow. Looking forward to it. I can't wait to share what I find with you. Have a great night, everyone. I'm Bricks.